Hey, it's Tara. Before we begin, I have a quick favor to ask. If you've enjoyed the show, learned something new, or maybe even changed the way you handle your nutrition, please share an episode with a friend. And if you really love the show, subscribe on Apple Podcasts so you don't miss a thing. We have new episodes every other Tuesday. That's it. Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoy this episode too.
Brain fog. No, girl, you drink too much and you doom scrolling on your phone. Get off. Stop it.
This is On Nutrition, a podcast from Mayo Clinic where we dig into the latest nutrition trends and research to help you understand what's health and what's hype. I'm Tara Schmidt, a registered dietitian with Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. This episode, alcohol. But first, we have a listener question about our most popular episode to date called Breaking the Poo Taboo.
I am curious to know if your body becomes adjusted to taking the different types of fiber that are non-food items like Metamucil or Miralax. So I'm very curious about that, and I would appreciate having an answer. Thank you.
Thanks for your question. I should start by saying Metamucil and Miralax do two different things, so I'm going to talk about them individually. Products like Metamucil contain a type of fiber called psyllium, which forms a gel that absorbs and retains water. This softens your stool and relieves constipation. We recommend getting the majority of your fiber intake from food if possible, but using products like this on a daily basis is totally reasonable. Miralax is an osmotic laxative. It works by osmosis, naturally attracting water molecules from the body into the colon. This softens the stool, making it easier to pass. There's no evidence to say your body becomes adjusted to these two particular medication. Neither gets significantly absorbed into the body, and they are both considered very safe options. Just don't forget to add them to your medication and supplement list for your healthcare team. If you have another follow-up question, leave us a voicemail at 507-538-6272, and we'll answer it in a future episode. Now, on to the show. Humans and alcohol go way, way back. From alcohol being allegedly safer to drink than water at various points in history, to strong drinks in smoky bars, or football parties. Alcohol is so customary that sometimes we forget it's a drug at all. But in the past few decades, we've started to better understand the relationship between alcohol and health. This, coupled with more health-conscious trends in recent generations, means a lot of us are rethinking our relationship to drinking. So, should you quit drinking? Will it help you lose weight, or maybe even reduce your risk of cancer? And is the occasional drink still okay? To pull apart these complicated questions, we're joined by Vanessa Rossetto. She's a registered dietitian and the co-founder and CEO of Kalina Health, a digital platform dedicated to making clinical nutrition care inclusive and accessible for everyone. She's also a frequent guest on programs like The Today Show. On top of all that, she decided to change her own relationship to alcohol and helps her patients do the same. Hey, Vanessa, thank you for being on Nutrition with me today.
How are you?
I'm good. It's nice to see you again. How are you?
I'm good. Nice to see you.
You have written about choosing not to drink.
Yeah.
Do you feel comfortable talking about the health aspects that played a role in your decision?
Yeah. I remember being 23 years old, going out till 4 o'clock in the morning drinking, and then waking up at 6 and getting on a bus to then walk to the gym and then go to work unfazed.
You're killing me right now.
My constitution was high. Something happens to you after 35, right? You store fat in a weird way and you don't metabolize things in the same way. And now I look at people drinking and I'm like, I'm going to be sick and I'm not going to sleep for 3 months. What is going on? So I would be drinking and I would have these real adverse reactions. So I would drink like 2 drinks and then I would be up in the middle of the night. I would have panic attacks in the morning if I had coffee. And then also, I think this is the other thing that people don't talk about, but I am going to say it. I think it's like very pervasive and you become this habitual daily drinker and it became like scary. I would just be watching TV and then I would wake up in the morning and I would look and like 3/4 of a bottle of wine would be gone. And I was doing that multiple times a week. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm out. I can see very clearly how people become alcoholics because you just dissociate. You're like, oh, I had a rough day. I'm just going to drink this wine and I'm not going to think about anything.
There's an excuse, a good day, a bad day, a great day, a horrific day.
It's Tuesday.
Thursday, whatever.
Whatever. And I will say that I wasn't like imploding my life or doing anything, but I was like, I really need to do something. So I like went to AA, 90 meetings, 90 days.
Wow.
And then I just never drank again. Then that was it. I was like, okay, well, now I don't drink alcohol.
Congratulations.
Thanks. I also don't go to AA. It was just like, what can I do that can force this? Anyway, this worked for me. It was very helpful. And then I went about living my life. And people are like, okay, you're stop drinking, but you're going to go back to drinking. And I'm like, I don't know. I sleep really well and I don't wake up sad. And then I got cancer. And my doctor kept being like, do you drink? I'm like, no. And she was like, so the tamoxifen that you're going to take so that you don't get cancer again, the efficacy is greatly reduced by alcohol. And I was like, wait, really? Because I know plenty of people who had breast cancer that drink on tamoxifen. She's like, yeah, I know. They're not supposed to. I was like, oh, okay. And now people are like, but just one drink. And I'm like, guys, I'm good.
And especially after a diagnosis of cancer, do we need another excuse? First of all, you don't need any excuse to not drink. You don't need to go to AA. You don't need something tragic to have happened. You don't need an excuse. I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you're in the middle of college or if you're 70.
Yep.
But is cancer not a good enough excuse?
I mean, agreed. I'll go out with the moms in town and they'll be like, oh my God, you're not drinking. And I'm like, hey, I'm not judging you because you are. I'm good. I'm having fun. I'm engaged with you. I'm laughing. I'm perfectly fine. You know, it's what it says about them because they don't want to maybe look in the mirror and be like, oh, maybe I do drink a little bit too much.
And you bring up such an interesting point from a social aspect because if you're around people who do engage in alcohol, some of them will be neutral, and other people become really judgy about the non-drinking. What is it about alcohol that makes it just so much easier to socialize? Yes, life of the party, but also just to like be at a cocktail hour or be at a partner's or a friend's event where you don't know a lot of people and you're like, thank God I at least have this drink in my hand because I feel semi-normal. It's helping me to feel a little bit loosened up.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to talk about what's happening chemically?
First of all, I think it used to be cigarettes, right?
It's something in your hand.
It's something in your hand. You would go to the bar, you know, everybody was smoking cigarettes. That was like the mask. And so the alcohol is the mask. If I have this here, then my inhibitions are lowered psychologically, right? I'm like, oh, I'm going to just have this drink. And then you start to go down this cascade. So nothing I'm doing actually even like matters or counts. Your defenses are like down. And then it's this like initial hit of dopamine into the brain that makes you feel like, oh, okay, this is good. I'm relaxed. So it brings you down, but that only lasts like minutes, actually. Yeah. And then you keep drinking because you're like, oh, I need this dopamine hit.
And then you care less and less about how you're acting because now you've had multiple drinks and you're like, woohoo.
You don't care. And then your body actually has to like come off of it. This is a drug and you withdraw basically from that. And so you don't want to withdraw. So then it's this perpetual cycle and people are just like, I don't know, I'm sad all the time. And you're like, I notice that you drink every time I'm around you. So maybe you should not drink or I have anxiety. You are withdrawing from this drug and your body is responding in some kind of way, but people can't anchor themselves to it. And listen, we have whole establishments around alcohol. We have people whose job it is to sell you alcohol.
Do you think the problem is that it's legal?
Yes.
We would have such a different conversation. We would be not probably talking about this because it would be so taboo if we were talking about an illegal drug right now.
Right. So it's, oh, if it's legal, we assume that it's okay. I mean, there were plenty of things that used to be legal. I remember being a kid and it was like, you don't have to wear your seatbelt in the back of the car, only the front.
These things were completely social norms, but over time, we learned and we stopped. And I think we're doing pretty well. I was traveling this weekend. Yeah. Almost every restaurant that we went to had a mocktails list.
There are many sober, curious people. Like I go to dinner with a lot of people who are not drinking, and that's cool to see. I do think, I blame like Carrie Bradshaw. With the advent of Sex in the City and everyone going out with your girlfriends, you're having drinks, you're having drinks, you're having drinks. These are the things that we do where people are like, let's meet up and have a drink. And you're like, let's meet up and go for a walk. Your heart rate will get up, you will feel endorphins and you'll feel happy and you'll go home and you'll have a good night's sleep.
Let's talk about sleep because that is one of, I think, the main physiological detriments of alcohol.
Yes.
Let's talk about what alcohol does to the body. You fall asleep faster. You do not sleep well.
You do not sleep well. You do not go into REM. You don't get that restorative sleep. This is what you need for your brain. Like, my perimenopausal, menopausal friends, I have brain fog. No, girl, you drink too much and you doom scrolling on your phone. Get off. Stop it. So like these people who are constantly drinking, all of this is not good for your brain. Your brain doesn't do the thing of clearing it out, wiping everything away, getting rest. And so you are going to be in trouble as you age.
Mhm.
Of course you can't focus because you're not sleeping. You need sleep. You need 7 hours of sleep at minimum. Everyone get on it. And I'm not even a good sleeper, but I am
Better than you were before.
Correct. My best friend has had 7 drinks in her whole life. And the last time she drank, it was New Year's Eve. And then on New Year's Day, I called her and I was like, what's up? She was like, well, everything was like really great. I was having my glass of wine and I haven't slept. And then like many days, she called me. She was like, this is insane. I still haven't slept. I hate alcohol. And I'm like, yes, I understand. So yeah.
I don't think I can say the company, but I can tell you that Mayo does research for sleep a lot, and that there is a very well-known bed company. They can tell by your sleep patterns, by you moving around in their very expensive bed, if you have had one drink. That's how impactful it is on your sleep.
It's so pervasive. But then people will be like, yeah, no, I don't think it's the alcohol because I've always drank. You're like, okay, sure. You know more than me. Why are you here?
Why did I go to school for so many years? Let's talk about decision making.
Remember when you would be really drunk and you would observe a situation and you were certain of the perspective? And then you woke up the next day and you were like, wait, what happened? No one should make any decisions whilst drinking, not even a sip. Your inhibitions are down. Your brain is flooded with dopamine initially. Then you're depressed. There's such a flux of emotions.
This is why college girls are always crying in the bathroom.
Always.
Myself included. I'm not judging you. What factors influence someone's level of intoxication?
First of all, are you eating? Have you eaten today? I'm saying it right now. These people who come up to me, these friends, they're like, I don't eat so that I can keep drinking alcohol. And then they're like, I look so old and my hair is falling out. And I'm like, causation, correlation, association, I don't know, however you want to call it.
Insert research word that you prefer.
So there is that. Then like, what medications are you taking? Before I got sick, I would never even take a Tylenol. Like I gave birth without drugs. So like I take nothing, but people just take stuff and don't care. So they're like, I had a glass of wine and then I had my Ambien, but then the Ambien wasn't working. I'm like, guys, that is how Heath Ledger died. It was an accident, R.I.P. But like the guy took a sleeping aid and had some wine and this time his body, it gave out. Like,
so scary.
What are you guys doing? Like, oh, you think Benadryl and alcohol is okay? And I'm like, probably not. Like,
read the label, people.
Also, like, a lot of people play around with prescription drugs, like uppers, downers. Everyone is playing a game and, enter at your own risk. But I think it's you're not eating. What are the other drugs that you're having? Also, what are you mixing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You see people drinking wine and the next thing you know, they're just like straight whiskey. Or the people that are like, oh, I don't know, I was just drinking beer. That's not like alcohol. I'm like, is it not?
Wheat water. So, a few things most of us probably know. Drinking has some obvious appeal. It delivers quite a hit of dopamine to your brain and lowers your inhibitions. It's also cultural. Drinking can make us feel like we fit in. But alcohol is still a drug, which means you can go into withdrawal once you stop drinking, which might make you want to drink more. It can also keep you from getting restorative REM sleep and compromise your ability to make decisions. It's also not going to affect everyone the same way. Factors like your individual tolerance, how much you've eaten, whether you're on any medication, and what types of alcohol you're drinking will all make a difference. And I feel like I probably shouldn't have to say this, but always, always check if the medications you're on are safe to consume alongside alcohol. Now let's talk about alcohol's nutrition, or lack thereof, and what it does to your body. My family was watching college football on a Saturday morning. Another family member came over. She was offered a beer or a Bloody Mary, a mimosa, and she said, no, thank you. You want to know what rumor started?
That she's pregnant.
Unacceptable.
So bad.
I said it after they essentially gossiped about it. I was like, can we not have a drink on Saturday at 10 a.m. without assuming someone is with child? If that person was a male, what would we have said? Would a rumor have started if she was not of childbearing age? Leave us alone.
And also, like, I feel like it's prudent. 10 a.m. on a Saturday? How will I make it to 10 p.m.? But I mean, I tell you, when patients are like, I'm going on vacation, I don't know what to do. I'm like, you're going on vacation. Do you need to start drinking at 10 a.m.? And then I give them rules. So only drink at dinner. They follow the rules and they come back and they're like, I didn't gain any weight on this trip. I'm like, I know, because I put you in a box.
Do you want to be dietitian-y and talk about how alcohol is metabolized?
Yeah.
We've essentially said that there are no nutritional benefits.
Yeah.
Straight up empty calories.
Selfish calories, right? It's 7 calories per gram. So it's a macronutrient.
It's a macronutrient because it provides calories per gram.
But notice how when everyone's figuring out their macros, they keep that one out.
It's totally true.
Right?
No one's ever asked me to input that. They're like, Tara, can you give me my macros? And no one's ever said alcohol included.
That's right. So it has to get metabolized into ethanol, then acetaldehyde, and then it has to be pushed away from the bloodstream. And then so this is why it goes into the adipose tissue. This is why you feel hungover, right? You're like, oh, I'm hungover. It's like, well, your blood sugar is just low. You didn't get anything. Your body didn't get any of the goods. And so this is the problem.
Can we talk about how organ function, like normal organ function, is essentially like kind of put on the back burner, especially if you have diabetes. But you have an actual toxin in your body, and Gemi started on people calling bread and Skittles toxins. Okay, like alcohol is an actual toxin.
Yeah, it is actually linked to cancer. Actually, it's on the list.
With the cigarettes.
Mm-hmm. But you're mad about some like chips. I don't know. Or the oils. Remember when everybody started talking crap about coconut oil? You think 1 teaspoon of vegetable oil is going to kill you?
When it helps you to eat your vegetables? I'm all game, y'all.
Versus 2 bottles of wine? So much alcohol. What's it doing to your kidneys? What's it doing to your liver? I have my children properly trained. I'm like, what is the most important organ in the body? They're like, the liver. And I'm like, this is very good. And what are the things that you shouldn't be doing to your liver? They understand. You shouldn't be taking drugs, not a prescription or otherwise. You shouldn't abuse them. You shouldn't be drinking alcohol. I'm like, I have done my job. Thank you.
Mother of the year. Can we talk about some diagnoses or conditions that are absolutely worsened with alcohol?
Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, except I'm like, no, it's all alcoholic. Like all of these people, like young people who are not overweight, but they have all this fat around their liver. And they're like, I don't drink that much. People don't want to admit that the alcohol might be a contributing factor, or like how your blood pressure is going up. You know, alcohol causes you to have anxiety. It's also how it dilates the vessels or constricts, and then your blood pressure goes up. But no, it's not the alcohol. It's never the alcohol. Or how about you look old? Like, Vanessa, you look so young. I'm like, I know, I drink water.
You actually do look super young.
Why do you look so young? Like, I don't drink alcohol every day, guys.
It sounds like you help a lot of people reduce their drinking, like clients, family members, and friends. How do you help them do that? Do you have a method for people who struggle?
I'd make them slow it down first, because it's most effective, right? Like, hey, you want to lose weight. You want to sleep better. Okay, great. So how many drinks do you have per week? And they're like, oh, I don't know, right? They're like, oh, I just drink on Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Also, we double it whatever you tell us.
Yes, it's like, we know the truth. But it's a lot. You hear people being like, oh, I have 6 drinks on Saturday and 6 drinks on Sunday. I'm like, so you have 8.
What's the definition of binge drinking? Because like, I think that people don't think that they binge drink, but we're actually talking about binge drinking.
It's pattern of alcohol consumption that raises the person's blood alcohol concentration to 0.08 or higher, typically achieved by consuming 5 or more drinks for men or 4 or more drinks for women within about 2 hours. So yeah, like most of America is binge drinking every weekend. So I make people identify, how many drinks do you have? And I'm like, you don't have to change anything. Like, let's see. And then they come in the next week. Let's say it's weight loss and they lost 2 pounds. I'm like, I wonder how much weight we would have lost if we had less drinks. So I'm going to ask to reduce the drinks, because I want to play around with the threshold of alcohol consumption to help accelerate this path. And then I ask them, like, okay, you're going to go out on Friday night and you go out Saturday night. Who are you going out with on Friday? I make them really start to think, oh, I'm going out with coworkers. Are the coworkers your best friend? No, but we go out every Friday. So every Friday you go out with these people who are not your best friends. Why are you drinking so much with them? And people are like, oh, I don't know.
Are those the people you want to embarrass yourself in front of?
Exactly. I'm like, your best friend of 30 years comes into town and you want to drink a bottle of wine and cry with her? Yes, I approve this message. Do it. But these people? No. And then they start to get into it and we kind of gamify it a little bit. And then they realize it's just a crutch. You actually don't need it. It's a habit that you've gotten into and we need to get out of it. Let's focus and do other things. And then when they see that it's like freeing, it's fine, they have fun, they're not missing out on anything. And oh, they're losing weight, or oh, they can think clearly, or oh, they can sleep better. They're like, oh.
The next morning they can function or actually go to the gym.
And also, I think for parents, I say, when you don't drink all the time, your tolerance for your kids increases exponentially. You don't freak out on your kid because you didn't sleep, right? Like you're at your wit's end and you want your kids to feel good and happy and loved and seen, and you want to engage with them and you want to have tolerance for them because they're kids. And so I think that's the thing. And also, it's like, there's no judgment. I actually don't care how much you drink. You are in control of your own life, but I am going to tell you all the things that it can or cannot do to you and for you.
Alcohol is technically a macronutrient. It provides 7 calories per gram. It gets metabolized into compounds that get deposited into fatty tissue. It lowers your blood sugar and dehydrates you, which contributes to that feeling of being hungover. And sorry to say, but alcohol is actually a toxin that's linked to cancer. And it increases your risk of hypertension. So if you're worried about toxins in different foods that you might eat, make sure you're also considering the big one in your glass. Your liver will thank you. And if you cut back, you might notice yourself losing weight, having improved clarity and energy, sleeping better, and maybe even better emotional regulation, aka tolerance for challenging situations or people. So, are you curious about becoming sober? And is it all or nothing? Let's talk about some more benefits and how much you actually need to cut back to see them. Do you think, quote, drink responsibly is real? And I get that it's used in marketing or commercials for the companies to kind of, one, cover themselves, but also say, like, please don't drive. It is 2025, people. We got Uber, we got Lyft. Call your neighbor. I don't care. Ask someone on the street to drive you home. I would drive a stranger home.
Totally.
If they said, I've drank and I don't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
But outside of the marketing and the legal aspect of commercials, do you think drink responsibly is a real thing?
I don't really think so. Or maybe I can say this is like a rare thing, right? I had a roommate and he was somebody that would be like, okay, I'm going to have a couple of drinks and I'm not going to leave my house and I'm going to go to bed. And then maybe he wouldn't drink again for months. So I'm like, all right, maybe somebody like that, somebody who could really just take it or leave it.
I will say my husband and I may have a glass of red wine with a dish, not leave our home.
Yeah.
Have a very normal night and, like, honestly put the bottle away after our one glass. And I know that wine people are like, oh my God, what are you doing? But that's the choice that we make.
Yeah. And that's fine for you guys. So I think in that aspect, probably, but it's like the general PSA. How much is considered safe? We won't even tell you that because you're going to take it over the edge. It's also, speaking of the marketing, it's like when people are like, oh yeah, I drank Michelob Ultra, only 96 calories. I'm like, you're trying to talk to me like 96 calories of alcohol is the same as 96 calories of chicken. It's not.
Go to an apple.
Not.
You want a 96 calorie snack?
Or like some nuts, right? That's the misstep. So drink responsibly. Fine, you and your husband have the one glass and then you go about your night. But then other people are like, I'm home, even though I drank 3 bottles of wine. I'm being responsible because I didn't leave the house. But are you being responsible? Did your kid try to wake you up and then you screamed at them? Or did you push your wife? Or did you say vile things? That's where it gets really gray.
I also feel like I've seen a lot of what's better. Like clear alcohol is better than dark alcohol, right?
Shut up. A spirit is a spirit. It's kind of like when they talk about nightshades. And I'm like, I can't put this in my brain because I have actual science in here, not this.
If you don't want to eat tomatoes because you don't like tomatoes,
Don't eat
good
them.
for you.
That's it.
Are there benefits to abstaining most days? Is it a hard line of you're either drinking or you're not drinking, right? Because clearly we're in the conversation of the benefits of not drinking. But there are going to be people who still wish to have an occasional responsible beverage. Are you okay with that? Is there still harm?
I think it's okay. It's the sum of the averages, as we know, right? I don't eat nacho chips every day. I really like them though, and they live in my house. And so I have them. But if you're drinking all the time and your body has to metabolize alcohol all the time, that's a lot of work for your body. So that's not serving you. You tell me that you have 2 cocktails a week, probably fine. But you have a history of cancer, probably gray. And I would probably just abstain, right? So you have to, with the information that you have available to you, make the decisions. I don't think there's anything wrong with people having the occasional drink, but like really sticking to those upper limits, really needing to pay attention. Early stage cancers are on the rise and everyone's like, oh, it's the food. I'm like, and the culture, the environment, where are you spending your time? It's a myriad of things. And I'm going to tell you, it's not the alcohol.
And you could use any non-nutrient dense food or beverage in this scenario. For my patients in cardiology who want to have red meat, I don't say my rule as your dietitian god is to never have red meat again. Would I be okay with that? For sure I would. But we can talk about how to do it less often or a smaller amount. So we don't have to be black and white about every single food. If you're allergic to peanuts, don't touch the peanuts. Right. Other than that, we have some grace that we can give people. I don't think our society likes that. I don't think they like ranges. I think they want yes, no, never, perfect, toxic, or superfood. Like there's not just like...
Yeah. What is the messaging out there? What are we telling people? It has to feel like sexy. So if we're restricting or we only eat plants, and then it feels sexy and hard and like I'm anchoring myself to something that's like super difficult.
I never do that.
I'm doing this better than you. And it's like, guys, we're all just trying to survive. Let me live.
Live a little bit longer. A big thing that we've talked about is the socialness around alcohol. It's pretty obvious that it tends to be a social activity. How do you help people come up with strategies for feeling comfortable, feeling confident in social situations without the alcohol? I always tell people, get a tonic water or a club soda with a lime, and then no one's going to bother you or assume that you're pregnant, etc. Have something in your hand. I don't really care what it is.
Something in your hand helps. Also,
what else? Telling
people straight up, hey, I'm working with a dietitian, and so I'm actually putting like some guardrails around my drinking. And so I always tell people, when you go out with your friends, you're going to go out at 6, you can't have a drink until 8:45. And 9 times out of 10, the person's like, I just didn't drink, so everyone was already drunk and annoying, and I just went home. And I'm like, there you go, babe.
And you can drive them all home.
Yes, take them home. Yep.
I always tell people just to blame me. I'm like, you say that you met the meanest dietitian at Mayo Clinic, and she's not letting you. I would never not let someone do that. I'm not your mother. I really don't care.
Yeah, but
blame me.
Yeah, that's what I say. I just put the rules around it. And then we talk about, is this really a situation where you must drink alcohol with these friends, or could you just leave it?
And honestly, make up whatever excuse you want to. Tell everyone you have a 6 a.m. workout class. Tell everyone that you're on an antibiotic that you can't drink with. Tell everyone that you're trying not to embarrass yourself.
Yeah.
You can say you're on the lose it phase of the Mayo Clinic diet, which for 14 days you don't drink alcohol. Use whatever excuse you want.
And also, I tell people this all the time. I'm like, if you're looking to lose weight, I need 2 weeks so that I can see what is happening. Don't drink alcohol.
I think some people may also be surprised by the fun that you can have even when you're not drinking. So I have been pregnant twice, and I felt like I didn't have a choice in those scenarios. I'm building a human. There is no safe limit. I'm not drinking.
Yeah.
And so like that was my excuse, which is a pretty good one. And guess what? I did just fine. I didn't have 18 miserable months of my life because any social situation I was in, I couldn't drink. It was accepted eventually, right? I got over it. I was everyone's lovely sober cab. And I still had fun. But If people have not experienced pregnancy or a medical reason to not drink, or they just have never attempted it, maybe there's just an anxiety there of this is going to be rough. This is going to be boring. I'm going to feel left out. And maybe you just need to sit in that.
Sit in that, find other friends, suggest something else to do. Everyone just says, oh, let's go grab drinks. But when you're like, hey, do you want to go to a workout class and grab dinner? And then maybe people want to drink at dinner. Maybe they don't. But then it's a little bit more open, I think, when you are proposing other things that don't revolve around alcohol.
Let's go on a hike.
Yep. Just suggest something different.
And it's part of your social circle of where you do things with what people. I think it's also part of your age sometimes, right? Like we both clearly went to college, and that's a huge culture thing in college.
Yes.
When people have pretty heavy, we're going to call it binge drinking, in their 20s and maybe 30s, but then they drink less when they're older. Have we reduced the harm? Have we reduced the risk? We're talking about cancer here.
I know.
Like there's a link. So do we know enough about the frequency, the timing of these cancer diagnoses or these liver diagnoses?
I mean, we don't really know, right? Like you think about the people that drink all the time and they die at 95. They just went to sleep and woke up in heaven. Like there are those people, right? Everyone has a grandma that's like, oh, my grandma who smoked and drank vodka and
drink whiskey.
Yeah, and you're like, what? Oh, okay.
I'm happy for her.
Yeah, I love this life for this grandma. I want to be her when I grow up. So yeah, like it's unclear, especially because now I don't think that our kids are going to be like, oh, my grandma smoked and drank and lived to be 300. Like that's over just because of like environmental stuff and the food and like the stress people have.
Sedentary.
Exactly. So many different things. And so that is very interesting to me. But I do tell people like, hey, like watch the upper limits. Is cancer in your family? Like you need to understand what is your genetic makeup and then go there. But I mean, I'll tell you, I didn't have cancer in my family and there's like outliers, right? But nothing like pervasive. I eat vegetables twice a day. I don't know. Stress?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Do you want to list some of the cancers that are linked to alcohol, Lise?
Head and neck, breast cancer, colon cancer, there's variants. So, I mean, that's enough.
Just one cancer is actually enough for me. To be honest.
But breast cancer and colon cancer are on the rise in people under 50.
Young
what
people.
Is the common denominator? Okay, yes, we all eat. Shut up. But how much alcohol is being consumed? Like when I hear about, oh, this 29-year-old woman, she was diagnosed with colon cancer so young. And I'm like, yo, that was in her genes. I'd like to look back just 10 years to find out, were you binge drinking in college? What's going on in your life? I'm so curious about that stuff.
And we're not blaming.
No, not blaming. Not blaming. It's curiosity because people, they're not like, oh, it's the alcohol. And you're like, maybe it is the alcohol. I have no idea.
I had someone in my family who died of lung cancer and had never smoked.
Right.
So this is not black and white.
That's right.
But I do think we want to bring up the link and bring awareness to it.
Yeah.
So it's complex, but we want to be honest.
Yeah, once I went to a grand rounds, which was an oncologist and a cardiologist talking about exercise. And obviously the cardiologist is like, it's great. This is good for your heart, et cetera, et cetera. And the oncologist perspective was like, yes, this is good. However, this kind of exercise of running, it was like around marathon time and stuff, running all the time. This is like inflammation in the body. And if cancers are prevalent in your family, I would think about that a little bit more. No one's telling you not to run. It's really good for you. But do you need to be running 80 miles a week? Maybe not.
I'm not going to do that anyway.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to do that either. And so it's just interesting to hear from someone's perspective. And like, they're not telling you that cardiovascular exercise is going to give you cancer. They're just saying, does that cause inflammation in the body? Is that something we should be thinking about? Early breast cancers are on the rise. What are all women doing? They're exercising so much. Maybe we want to do some research around that. Maybe there's a threshold. Who knows?
Yeah. I think most people still associate one glass of wine reduces the risk of heart disease. I don't think we say that in the medical community anymore, but we're talking about resveratrol. So can you talk about whether or not that still holds true? Can we get resveratrol from other sources? Can we like put this resveratrol thing from wine to rest?
It's in wine, it's in grapes, it's in other like fruits and vegetables, but you would have to ingest so much to get the benefit.
Eat some grapes, y'all.
Yeah, eat some grapes and have one piece of dark chocolate. It's the same. So no, guys, because there's all the negative aspects of the alcohol, right? It isn't like all of a sudden this like concentrated amount that's going to help you.
Alcohol is not how you're going to get the nutrients that you need, even if we have lots of nice things to say about resveratrol, and because there are so many grapes smushed into that glass of wine, that's fine.
Also, the grapes, only 2 tablespoons. 18 is the serving size, guys. Otherwise, it's going to raise your blood sugar pretty high.
Oh.
It's not really a lot in any one given time.
I was asked this at a conference recently. What are we saying about alcohol and wine and benefits? And the simplest answer I have is that the risks outweigh the benefits.
That's right.
So if you want to talk about benefits, that's fine. I'm going to have a longer list to talk about the risks.
Also, like too much resveratrol causes like GI issues. Just letting you know.
We've all had kids who've eaten too many grapes.
And then they're on the toilet for quite some time.
So why is it that quitting drinking often leads to people losing weight?
I think the thing about if you drink a lot, then your body is constantly trying to metabolize alcohol, and then it can't really do anything else. And so everything goes to the adipose tissue. But then also, people who are always drinking don't actually make very good choices. So if you are drinking alcohol around eating food, that's when it's the behavior. It's not like, oh, I stopped drinking alcohol, and because it's the alcohol that necessarily made me lose weight. It's the change in the behaviors. And I think that's what people have to understand. Yes, if I'm a high drinker and I'm drinking all the time and now I'm giving my body that rest, it's probably going to elicit an initial amount of weight loss that might be significant. But as time goes on, it's really about how I'm acting.
Yeah, what caloric deficit does stopping drinking alcohol put you in? And clearly for some people, and maybe more so for men who are drinking hundreds and hundreds of calories of beer, they automatically stop drinking that, and now they're in a 500 calorie deficit. Like, yeah, you're going to lose some pounds. And for women who are having a glass or two of wine and stop drinking, yeah, maybe it just didn't change my gene size.
Yeah.
So calorie deficit plays a role. Do we ever order salads with DoorDash when we're drinking? Probably not, right? Like people are like keeping Taco Bell in business.
Yes, exactly.
I do love a good Crunchwrap Supreme. Like you can make those at home.
Wow. Nice. That's nice. I will say I didn't lose any weight from stopping drinking. You know,
that's because you're not a man.
Yeah.
Any man who stopped drinking would be like, I lost 15 pounds.
I had a boss once and I was like, oh my God, you look so great. He's like, I finally listened to you and I stopped drinking 3 months ago and I lost 50 pounds. And then I started to get like really curious. How come some people lose weight and some people don't? What's happening here? What does the research really say? The research really just says, if you're a heavy drinker, then you are at risk for obesity, right? Because your body is constantly metabolizing alcohol. And then what happens? It goes to the adipose tissue. And then also like insulin sensitivity is off. So that's just for the heavy drinkers.
I don't think we have an answer to why some people lose weight when they stop drinking and others don't, other than what other behaviors was it impacting? What other calories were you consuming? How many calories were you getting from the alcohol? It's complicated.
It's very complicated. No fast answer.
Other than somehow men always win.
Yeah.
So rude.
Infuriating. I know. I'm like, just shut up.
This has been so fun. Thank you for your candidness, your honesty.
Thank you.
I think we all learned a lot. And I feel just like we don't need it.
No, we don't. Also, I want to live a long time and I want to look young. Thanks.
You should see what Vanessa looks like now. It's impressive.
Gonna be 47.
So as dietitians, we're going to tell you that there's no guaranteed safe amount to drink. But like most foods and substances that maybe aren't the best for you, like red meat or coconut oil or potato chips, it's usually fine to consume it occasionally and in moderation. Just know that accounting for your own personal health history is the only way to make that judgment call. And unfortunately, you're not going to get a bunch of healthy resveratrol from that glass of wine, or at least not enough to justify the risks of alcohol. So you might as well just snack on some grapes or dark chocolate and call it a day. Some strategies for cutting back on alcohol can be substituting it with something like club soda when you're out, proposing alternate activities with friends like a coffee shop or a walk around town, or just coming up with an excuse not to drink. Real or fake, your choice. There's no guarantee that cutting out alcohol will make you lose weight or help you avoid a cancer diagnosis. But you are putting the odds in your favor. Why not try it for a bit and see what happens? That's all for this episode. But if you have a follow-up question, leave us a voicemail at 507-538-6272, and we'll answer it in a future episode. On the next episode of On Nutrition, ultra-processed foods.
And they say, well, it's a carbohydrate. I say, yes, but it is a non-caloric carbohydrate. You don't gain weight from it. They say, you don't? Oh my gosh, I'll eat more of it. I say, hooray.
For more On Nutrition episodes and resources, check us out online at mayoclinic.org/onnutrition. And if you found this show helpful, please subscribe and make sure to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast app. It really helps others find our show. Thanks for listening. And until next time, eat well and be well.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.
This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon as medical or legal advice. Always consult with a qualified healthcare provider for any medical questions. The appearance of any guest does not imply an endorsement of them, their employer, or any entity they represent. The views and opinions are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of Mayo Clinic. Reference to any product, service, or entity does not constitute an endorsement of or recommendation by Mayo Clinic.